Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Medfield College Film Society. Here with you always, I'm Jeff Crawford and my society members. This meeting will come to order. Clubs. We got to start with the founder, the Max of our group. None other than Mr. Robert McSwain. Robert, what's going on tonight? Do you have the meeting minutes ready to go?
I do.
Yeah, okay, great.
I have been working on my most recent play. It's a World War II drama documentary something, and lots of effects, lots of miniature modeling. It's going to be really good.
That sounds very good. Very good. Perhaps the Dirk to your Max, a man who knew what it was like behind the scenes of drama as a young man. Mr. Michael Crawford, how's it going?
Oh, very good. Very good. Just plotting my extracurriculars.
Yes, there are so many. French club.
Yeah.
We were both in French club.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
For instance,
all that stuff. Forensics. Remember forensics?
Forensics.
I still don't know why it was called
Forensics.
forensics, but yeah.
Jeff and I were discussing how Jeff managed to miss the French club trip in 7th grade.
I don't know what we must have gone to Disney World. That has to be the only explanation.
Well, it was this summer. It happened.
Where was your French club trip?
Well,
we went to up to Quebec.
Yeah, we did too. When I was
what
in
year was
6th
this?
grade, I guess.
This would have been like summer of '93. So I think you said
we
maybe
went to
you were
Montana.
in Montana.
Yeah, that's what we
you're
figured it
in
out. Yeah.
Montana, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. No, we went when I think when I was in 6th grade, and man, they just took us up to Quebec and let us loose as 6th graders. And I still look back and think, was that a good idea?
Didn't somebody in your group end up in the hospital?
Canada.
I don't know.
Because Jennifer went on that trip, as I recall.
Yeah, she did. Yeah. I'll have to ask her. I don't know. All sorts of things may have happened. I could name names, but yeah, it was quite a trip. Yes.
It's not like the orchestra trip to Busch Gardens in 1995, though.
No, it was not.
Anyway, here's a guy, my buddy, the last guy we're going to introduce tonight, would swat a basketball out of any kid's hands if they're shooting that junk. Get it out of here. Mr. Andy Brown. How's it going, Andy?
Gentlemen, I'm happy to be here.
What about Andy? How's Andy doing?
I'm doing great. It's, it's that time of year where we're getting outside, beating up smaller children. That's always fun.
The weaklings, yes.
Yes.
I'm looking for the rich boys. See if I can, see if they can grow some backbone around me.
Aren't we all? Yeah.
Yes. Yes. All right. Let's lift the veil on this little chestnut. Michael, what are we watching tonight?
We're watching the 1998 Touchstone classic Rushmore. Hard to believe there was a time when Disney put out a movie like Rushmore, directed by Wes Anderson, written by Wes Anderson and Owen Wilson. We love the Owen Wilson, starring Jason Schwartzman, Olivia Williams, Bill Murray, Brian Cox, Seymour Cassell, and some other folks. Music by Mark Mothersbaugh, the great Mark Mothersbaugh, and a great banger of a music supervision soundtrack to boot.
Yeah, this one, man, wasn't the first, but it was really an establishment of the oeuvre of Wes Anderson. Yeah, the aesthetic getting set forth that still shines today.
Yeah, it's my first thought watching it was like, this was when Wes Anderson still had characters in his film that acted kind of like human beings.
Yeah, right. Not like caricatures. Something like was it Asteroid City?
I haven't seen that one.
Yeah.
Like everybody's like a weird like it used to be there would be like one or two characters that's like, oh, just some random weird non sequitur person. But now all the characters are like that. All the characters are just some weird person. This is when he at least had a few people who acted like human beings. So
yeah, they're now like human stick figures. They're just
strange. Just like stand and talk at each other.
Yeah,
this was my first exposure to Wes Anderson. I think Jeff, I think you were the one that brought it to my attention as well.
Yeah, I think this is mine too. I don't think I saw Bottle Rocket first. I think I saw this first, and
then
same.
Quite the impression.
I think it was maybe several years after it came out. And maybe we rented it, and then I think we saw the Royal Tenenbaums at the same time.
Oh yeah, I love that one
because that one really spoke to you. I recall.
Yeah, yes. R.I.P. Gene Hackman.
Yes, the day of this recording, I was thinking about that.
Yes. He was so good in that movie. Yes, that movie did speak to me. What speaks to you, listener? Did you like this movie? Well, we haven't even started talking about it yet. I'm assuming everybody's seen this one.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
It is crazy that Disney made this movie.
Yes, it just throws me off to think about it. Like even looking at the credits and seeing all the Buena Vista stuff in the credits, I was like, wow. Wow.
Who pitched this one? Was this a Jeff pick or?
I think I've had it on my list.
Yeah,
it may have been on several lists, but yeah, I had forgotten it was a Touchstone joint, and then
me too.
So yeah, I was happy to see it make the list, and I probably hadn't seen it in 20 years or more. But
latter day,
it's been a while.
I was in a band with guys that like this and Lebowski were like primary texts to daily life, so they were always quoting Rushmore to the depths of which I watched Rushmore a lot and liked it, but watching this, I would be like, oh yeah, that thing that they used to say all the time, that was from Rushmore. That makes sense.
This was a movie for me that I didn't like the first time.
I didn't either. It was all right the first time I watched it.
Yeah, it was okay. I
can see that. I mean,
for sure.
That.
Yeah, but then, and I think that was probably the last time I saw it was when I think I rented this one on VHS or I don't know if it had been DVD yet. So, but yeah, completely different story this time.
Okay, all right. Well, maybe we should talk about it, and maybe Andy, you should talk about it. Will you take us into the world of Rushmore?
I'd be delighted. Well, if you didn't know this was a Wes Anderson movie before it started, you certainly know it now by the first few notes of this opening song. The film opens with a glorious painting of Bill Murray's character, along with his family, and Bill's sporting a cigarette. It's a nice touch. Oh, yeah.
Nobody smokes a cigarette on camera like Bill Murray does.
It's so good.
His smoking prowess in Ghostbusters was off the charts.
It's just like
Aykroyd's really good too, man. Ghostbusters had a lot of good on-screen smokers.
I was thinking that too. Just like barely attached to their lip, like barely, like molecularly in their mouth, just by a molecule. Yeah.
Well, then we quickly get to the opening scene, which takes place in a classroom where the teacher is working with the students on solving an advanced algebra equation. When one student asks about another equation that's written on another blackboard that's labeled extra credit, the teacher just says that he put it up there as a joke because it's probably the hardest geometry equation in the world. And if anyone solves it, they, along with the rest of the class, won't have to pick up a math book again for the rest of their lives, which was a strange reward.
I'll see to it that you never have to.
Yeah, I'll make some calls.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, all the students start murmuring and talking to each other as the camera pans across the room, and it stops on one student who's reading a newspaper, and we're introduced to Max Fisher.
Can I just say?
Yes, you may.
First, Robert and Jeff, are we all thinking about the same person?
I wasn't until you just said that.
I think I know what you're talking about now.
I mean, we've got Max. I love just the setup. The first setup, he's got his little China cup of tea. He's got his booklet with like a sketch of the Eiffel Tower in his geometry or whatever it is. But it's just a wonderful little, and he's reading the business section. He's reading like the stock pages.
It's a callback to real life.
Yeah. So
you weren't around in high school for him, where he took it to 11 at that point.
No.
What was the vibe?
Well, one vibe was him tuning his instrument for the concert alone on stage with a tuning fork.
Yeah. Yes.
He walked out on stage by himself and sat down and proceeded to tune with a set of tuning forks that he brought.
Which is defeats the purpose of the group.
That's a wonderful story to illustrate to everyone exactly what we're talking about here. Yeah.
As soon as you said, "Is this Rob?" I was like, "I know he's talking about."
I did too. Yep.
And I remember when he did the tuning thing. I mean, I don't want to get completely off base here. My dad just let this long groan when he did it. Doug just goes, "Ugh."
Well, I'm sure everyone who's listening knows someone like this, and if they don't, then they're that person. So
yeah,
exactly. Good point. Good point.
Because Max is a well-dressed 15-year-old student with glasses, and as he approaches the blackboard while drinking his cup of tea, as Michael said, he takes one look at the equation and confidently catches the chalk that the teacher throws to him, and he just quickly solves the equation with no problem whatsoever. Then he drops the chalk, and when the teacher says he solved it, the rest of the boys in the class jump up to congratulate him and begin chanting his name. And this is when Max wakes up, because Max was actually asleep in chapel at the Rushmore Academy Private School for Boys.
It's just brilliant.
It is. I love the and I mean, the movie delves later into Max's adventures in calligraphy, but I love, and Wes Anderson, like the details in his movies are all insane, but I love how his equations on the board it's like, it must have taken some artist forever to draw out these equations in calligraphy equations to just make it look lovely. It was absolutely lovely.
It's great. And then the teacher's reaction is kind of like a "that's my boy" reaction. That's you got it.
Yeah, you solved it. Well, today in chapel, the speaker is Bill Murray's character Herman Bloom, who starts off his speech the best way you can which is, "You guys have it real easy." And he goes on to say that some of you were born rich who will stay rich, while the rest of you weren't. And he gives them advice about how taking dead aim at the rich boys, get them in the crosshairs and take them down. Because they can buy anything except backbone, and so don't let them forget it. I loved this speech. This was fantastic. I did find so someone, I guess, would just, I mean, I don't know. I've never had to do anything like this in that school. So would there be regular speakers? People would come and just talk at chapel? I mean, I don't know.
They do have chapel speakers as a thing. That's a phrase I've heard. So
yeah,
I don't know if,
local businessmen just come in and philosophize.
Well, Max really, like me, Max really identifies with this. And but he's the only person who seems to be listening, and he stands up and gives a standing ovation when Herman finishes. Well, Herman leaves with the head man at the school, Dr. Nelson Guggenheim, great Wes Anderson name, played by the also great Brian Cox.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd forgotten. I forgot he was in this, and immediately when I saw him, I was like, "God, great! This cast is unbelievable."
Yeah.
I want to pause real quick on the Bill Murray before we fully leave him, and just point out, we had seen Bill in Ed Wood, 1994. Of course, he goes on to do Space Jam. He does Wild Things, and then he does this.
I forgot about Wild Things.
I didn't know he was in Wild Things.
So
that is an arc.
Quite an arc, and then he kind of gets into his new lane here. So this is kind of a big change, I feel like, for him too, or just becoming fully realized latter day Bill Murray.
Yeah.
In this, anyway. Sorry to interrupt.
That's okay. So we started with What About Bob, which has been a few years earlier.
Yeah,
that's right. And then this is where he was. Wow. It's by the end of the 90s. He was doing this stuff. That's crazy. That's okay. So Herman and Guggenheim are hanging out, and Guggenheim's teasing Herman about his speech, and he says, "Why don't you just come back for graduation and give an encore?" But then Max quickly joins them, introducing himself to Herman, saying how much he agrees with the remarks that Herman made. And Herman, he's happy that someone's appreciated what he has to say. He's kind of looking at him. He's like, "Oh, okay." And Max introduces Herman to his much younger chapel partner, Dirk Calloway, who's a sort of lackey for Max. But I just love the name Dirk Calloway.
It's good.
It's really good. And I just want to point out, I don't know if you guys ever saw the Dennis the Menace movie with, who's the guy?
Walter Matthau.
Walter Matthau. The Dirk Calloway was the young Dennis.
I never saw that, but I looked him up on the Wikipedia after watching this movie, and to see what else he had been in, and was very surprised to see he had done that. Yeah,
shocked.
I'm gonna suggest that people watch that movie because it's actually a pretty good movie.
Yeah, I recall it not being that bad. I mean, Walter Matthau was great in it.
Yeah, he's
Christopher Wilson.
Christopher Lloyd is the baddie. So, I recommend that one. Anywho, after they leave, Herman tells Guggenheim that he thinks Max is pretty sharp. But Guggenheim says he's one of the worst students at Rushmore.
I love the way he says it, too. It's just like resigned or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Then we kick into a montage backed by the song Making Time by the band The Creation.
Come on now.
The montage is all the clubs or extracurricular activities that Max has founded or is taking part of at Rushmore, such as fencing team captain and president of Rushmore Beekeepers and director of the Max Fisher Players. But the two that cracked me up the most was the Trap and Skeet Club founder.
Yes,
that's good.
And then, of course, the Yankee Racers founder. I mean,
yes,
that shot is fantastic. And then I read somewhere that was actually a recreation of another famous photo of like some French racers or something like that.
Everything is so dense in these movies.
But fun fact, in the background behind that scene, you see people racing around, and that's actually Wes Anderson and Owen Wilson in those cars.
I did not know that. Interesting.
I did not know that. How'd you like that Churchill portrait in Guggenheim's office, Robert?
I was just Michael already pointed out the level of detail in these movies, and that was one of the first things I saw. I was like, Wes just puts everything in there and slides jokes in constantly.
So yeah, we get a note that it's September, and Max is in Dr. Guggenheim's office, and he's telling him that he's being put on what they call sudden death academic probation, which is a great name.
Where Animal House there.
Yeah, if he fails one more class, he will be kicked out of Rushmore. And Max asks for some supporting documentation, which made me laugh too, because he wants to see about these claims, and it's because he's participating in too many extracurricular activities and not enough studying. Well, Max tries to talk his way through all this, and he reminds Guggenheim that he got into this school because he wrote a one-act play in the second grade about Watergate. And this was enough to earn him a scholarship to Rushmore. And so he asked Guggenheim if he regrets it, but he's like, no, but I'm still going to have to expel you. It was a great sequence. Well, Max tries one more desperate attempt to just, let him float by for old time's sake, but Guggenheim says he can't do it. Well, then the next shot is Max bursting through some doors while being followed by Dirk Calloway. And he tells Dirk that they want to kick him out, and Dirk responds, oh no, not again. So yeah, Max has been a problem for a while, apparently. Well, later, Max is at the Backgammon Club, where he's reading a book on sunken treasure by Jacques Cousteau.
Of course, yeah.
And his opponent is talking to him about the rumor that they're going to be teaching Japanese next year, but to make room for it, they're going to have to cancel Latin. And Max is upset because he's been trying to get Latin canceled for like 5 years, saying, according to him, it's a dead language. Also, I just want to, I'll get to it in a second. But anyways, in the book, Max sees a handwritten note that someone has left on the page that has a Jacques Cousteau quote: when one man, for whatever reason, has the opportunity to lead an extraordinary life, he has the right to keep it to himself. And I love how Wes Anderson uses this later in was it the life Steve Zoso? Is that the
Steve Zissou? Yeah. Life Aquatic.
Life Aquatic. That's it. How all that ties in with Jacques Cousteau, but yeah. Wes must have had a thing about Jacques. So Max is really taken back by this quote, and he goes to the librarian to find out who recently checked out the book, and consulting the paper card catalog, which brought back some memories.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
It turns out that another teacher, Miss Cross, had recently checked it out. Well, Max tracks her down to her classroom and finds the young, attractive teacher and watches from afar as she reads to her students. But not long after this, the Max Fisher players are rehearsing their next production, which seems to be a really dark play about crime and drugs, but we don't know what it is just yet. But then next we see, and so this movie, it moves quickly. It's just scene, and it just kind of jumps around. But it doesn't feel jarring, I don't think.
No.
So yeah, we jump to Max, who's in the car with Mrs. Calloway, who's the mother of his lackey Dirk, played by the beautiful Connie Nielsen, formerly married to Metallica's Lars Ulrich.
Wow,
really?
Yeah,
what a choice! What a choice!
That's a choice. Yeah.
And Mrs. Calloway is thanking Max for being there and watching out for Dirk. And when Max leaves, one of the other students, George, wants to know how Max is doing with Mrs. Calloway, saying that Buchan, I didn't get his name. It was Buchan. It was like Buchan or something like that. Who's a Scottish student who's there. He said that he would have already banged her by now, which irritates Max, who just says, "Just tell that deformed Scottish gorilla to shut his fat face." And then the camera cuts to Buchan, who's shooting an improvised dart from a pin into a younger student's neck.
Yeah, what's this guy and his like stilettos and darts and knives and everything?
Oh man, this was the first of many Napoleon Dynamite like moments.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
through this movie. Yeah, so George says that he always thought that the reason that Max picked Dirk as his chapel partner was because he wanted to get closer to Mrs. Calloway. And Max responds with, "What are you, a lawyer?" Great line read. So Max then sees Bill Murray pull up in his car to pick up his sons, and he goes to greet him. And Herman asks him what's his secret, because he seems to have it all pretty figured out. And Max just kind of looks at him. He's like, he thinks that, you just got to find something that you love to do and then just do it for the rest of your life. And for him, that's going to Rushmore. And Bill Murray just plays this so well. He just kind of looks at him with this like, wow, you really do have this figured out.
He's like so entranced by him. Yeah.
Well, about that time, Herman's twin ginger sons, Ronnie and Donnie.
Man.
These guys, man, they really spoke to me, Jeff. I think
I knew he would. I knew they would. Oh man, yeah.
These guys show up and they shove Max to the side and they're fighting over who gets shotgun. There's a
like flipping the windows and locks and like turning on the air
conditioning. As soon as they get in the car, they just blast the AC as high as it can. And you can tell, and the look on Herman's face, Bill Murray's face, it's just like he hates these kids.
Yeah,
so much. Yeah.
He is playing it so great, though. It's just so good. It's so funny.
Well, they drive away, and Herman asks them if they invited Max to the birthday party that they're throwing this weekend. And one says that he would rather die. The other one tells his father to pull his head out of his own butt. And about that time, Bill Murray just grabs him like he's going to beat them.
All of his like sudden movements in this movie, he's got a lot of them. Just these like sort of just suddenly lashing out at things, or it's pretty good.
He does. That's a very good point. He does a lot of that,
like a lot of physical stuff for him. It's funny.
Well, later that evening, Max has ridden his bike down to the town and to the barber shop, and we get a little psych out here as it's revealed that Max's dad is the barber. So I'd forgotten all of this. So this
me too.
Yeah. And he tells his dad about being in trouble and realizing that he might be in too many clubs and doing too many plays, and how he should be trying harder to score chicks, since that's the only thing that anyone at the school really cares about, but it's just not his forte. Max, this actor that plays Max's dad, he reminds me of the old guy in the movie Up. I don't know. He just looks just like him.
Yeah, yeah.
Happier though.
Yes, definitely happier. Max's dad tells him not to worry about it as they head on home. But then the next day, the young teacher, Miss Cross, is having a smoke break on a bleacher. And she's scrounging around in her bag, trying to find a light for her cigarette, when Max arrives and lights it for her with his own lighter. It's a classy move. He joins her on the bleacher, reading his book, but they strike up a conversation about how this is her first year as a teacher at Rushmore, and they have a charming banter about how she should quit smoking, and he finds out that she went to Harvard, and which is a coincidence because Harvard is one of Max's safety schools. He's trying to impress her because he's like, yeah, I'm going to be a double major in mathematics and pre-med. And then they get on the subject of about Latin getting canceled to make room for Japanese. And they exchange some Latin sayings back and forth. And Max now feels empowered to save Latin just to impress Miss Cross. Well, he collects a bunch of signatures on his petition, and he actually ends up changing the school's mind, and they decide to keep Latin after all.
But they even more than that, they mandate that everybody has to take Latin.
Right.
So it's
quite convincing.
a lot.
Oh, well, sometime later, Max joins Herman to watch Ronnie and Donnie's wrestling match.
It's just, oh man.
Herman says that
They
he
find
never
these guys.
Yeah, I don't know. But Herman says he never dreamed that he would have sons like that, like the ones he has. And he inquires what Max's father does, and Max lies, saying that his father is a neurosurgeon at St. Joseph's Hospital. And then they go to the concession stand to get some food, and Max impresses Herman again by paying for his popcorn. He's like, I got this. and Max finds out that Herman was in Vietnam and asking him directly with a fantastic line about if he saw action. And Herman says he did, and I won't say the exact line, but it's incredible.
That killed me. He's like, yeah, I was.
That seems like a line that your friends, Jeff, would be quoting or something.
Yes, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think it I read somewhere also that it ended up as like one of the top lines in a movie quotes, or it's like top 100 lines or something like that.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. Well, Herman invites Max to come to the boys' birthday party at their house, and Max thanks him but declines, saying that he's got another engagement. And just really impressed by Max, Herman offers Max a job right there, just saying he could use someone like him. But Max declines, saying that, hey, his father may only be a doctor, but, they get by.
That line. So, I mean, the bulk of the students I used to work with at my previous employee weren't like that, but you'd always run into these like starving lawyers is kind of what I always call them. Yeah, we're just, and they live on these like in these mansions and like, oh, we just lived in a humble house but and then you find out that they have like this estate, and it just always used to grind me to hear people talk like that. But when I heard that line, I immediately went back to that and thinking about that.
Interesting. Yeah, I could see that. Well, Max then goes on out to the wrestling mat because he's an alternate on the team, and he's changing into his uniform that he had underneath his clothes, I guess, the whole time.
But yeah, that's the greatest gag, because he's there and he's got like his blazer and it's like his school preppy uniform, and then he takes it off and he's got the wrestling, whatever you call that, underneath.
Yeah. And he immediately gets slammed to the mat, which was great. Just boom. Oh, man. Well, later at the boys' birthday party at Herman's house, the boys are opening presents that are like things like crossbows, which is perfect for them. Well, Herman is just, this is strange because Herman's like just sitting there like tossing, I think, golf balls into the swimming pool.
Yeah.
Yes.
And again,
Smoking.
he's got another like amazing cigarette hanging out of the corner of his mouth. As he watches his wife flirt with, I guess it's like a tennis instructor or some guy. I don't know. I wasn't sure who the guy was. But it's just really strange little scene here. And still with the heater in his mouth and a glass of bourbon, wearing some amazing Budweiser swimming trunks.
The trunks killed me.
Herman climbs and jumps off the high dive while everyone watches. And he just like sits in the bottom of the pool as this young kid swims by, and it's just really odd.
Who is this kid? Because he pops up a bunch of times.
I don't know. It's kind of like Tenet, where like if you pay attention to certain things, you're like, oh, what was that?
Right.
He's just a weird little like alien dude or something. He's such a strange little kid.
Yeah, because he shows up in the very next scene because he's in Miss Cross's classroom.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
and because she's there feeding her fish, but then Max joins her, and they discuss how Max saved the Latin course. And she tells him that she's really impressed, and he's trying to play it cool. But Max starts feeding some of the fish, and he asks her how she ended up at Rushmore, and he ends up dropping the entire food container in the water when she says that it's because her husband went there. But it turns out that he died last year, and Max says that, well, his mother died when he was 7 years old, trying to relate to her. And then he says, I guess we both have dead people in our families, which is just another strange line. Well, then sometime later, Max is at Herman's still business that he owns. He's a businessman. And in his office, he's saying that he doesn't want, Max is saying that he doesn't want the job, but he does need money to build this aquarium idea. And they cut to Herman, and this is beautifully shot here. So they cut to Herman and Max being driven around in a golf cart through the still factory. It's a 3-shot here, as Max is making a case for why Rushmore needs an aquarium. But he's not talked to Dr. Guggenheim yet because he wanted to run it by Herman first. But back in the office, Herman asks Max how much money he needs, and when Max says he needs $35,000 for the initial plans, Herman writes him a check for $2,500. I love that whole little sequence, just how they're just like going through the factory and he just keeps talking.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
It's just fantastic. Well, against the British invasion tune, A Summer Song by Chad and Jeremy.
Oh, so good.
We get another montage of Max planning out the aquarium while also researching and purchasing more fish for Miss Cross's classroom. Max is trying to position himself as like this indispensable person to Miss Cross, because when she runs out of something to drink, he's always there to either give her a refill or if her pen is dried up, he's there with a fresh one. But Miss Cross, she's catching on to him, and I think she knows his intentions, because she points out that he's way too young for her, much less, she's his teacher or a teacher. But Max says, "I'm not trying to pressure you, Miss Cross. I'm just surprised you brought it up so bluntly." She just wants to make sure that they understand each other, but Max is doing all he can to dance around the subject without ever ruling it out. But he ends up saying that he's never met anyone like her, and she responds in kind, saying that she's never met anyone like him either. And the conversation ends with the two shaking hands. And that was great. He's like, "Do you want to shake hands?" She's like, "Sure."
Yeah.
But hey, you remember that play that the Max Fisher players were rehearsing? Well, it turns out that they're doing a stage version of Serpico.
This is great. Oh man, that really cracked me up.
Oh, man. Wonderful. It's opening night, and I just love how detailed everything is, from the costumes to the background action. I mean, it's just brilliant. It really
so
is.
Cool. Yeah, the little models and everything.
Yeah, the subway train outside the window is so good.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Well, Herman and his boys are there, as is Miss Cross. And there's also children attending the play, which made they start gunfire and violence, and it just makes that even funnier, because there's just kids just sitting there watching it. Well, in between acts, Max confronts the lead actor about messing up a line about the cannolis, and the two end up in a fist fight. But then it quickly cuts to the end of the play, and as the actors are bowing, Max walks out carrying roses and imagines the crowd coming to a roar. And he, with a tissue up his bloody nose, he turns to the other actors as if "See, this is all about me." Then Max is meeting with some folks after the play backstage, and Miss Cross is there with her guy friend, played by Luke Wilson, brother of Owen Wilson, the writer.
I had totally forgotten he showed up in this. I was like, "Oh, fun."
And he's dressed in his hospital scrubs, and Miss Cross was very impressed with the play, and introduces her friend to Max. And immediately Max has this attitude like, "Who's this guy?" Like he's some sort of competition. Miss Cross plays it off, and Luke Wilson tries to compliment Max, but Max just ignores him and just chugs his drink. Then when Miss Cross asks him that what happened to his face, he says, "I got punched in the face." And then he turns to Luke Wilson saying, "What's your excuse?"
Yeah, his kind of aggro is so amazing.
Oh, it's they could have left it right there and it would have been fantastic. But then they step it up, because then Herman comes over and he joins them, saying that he wanted to meet Max's dad. But Max lies, saying that he couldn't be there, and he introduces Herman to Miss Cross, and then he says, "I'm sorry, I didn't catch this other guy's name." And he just keeps digging at Luke Wilson, which is just hilarious.
Like your nurse's uniform guy.
Yeah, and Max is just really pissed at Luke Wilson, and so the four of them go out to dinner. And Max tells him, "Yeah, just like Jeff said, I like your nurse's uniform guy." And Max really doesn't want him there, and he's just badgering him. And Luke Wilson says that he wore his scrubs because he didn't know they were going out to dinner. And Max's response is, "That's because you weren't invited."
Olivia says they're OR scrubs, and Max says, "Oh, are they?"
Yeah,
it's line, but I love it.
Wasn't that in the trailer or something? Because I remember just seeing it, but it resonated with me for some reason.
It may have been, yeah.
Yeah, but
His delivery was so great. All of his delivery
All
right
of them.
there.
Yeah.
Because Max is like he's been bought a drink.
Yes.
So he's just like loosey goosey, just sheets to the wind, Max, and just really doesn't care what he says.
Right, exactly. And Miss Cross, she's upset with Max, and she's also mad at Herman because, as Michael said, Herman's the one that ordered him a whiskey and soda. But clearly drunk, Max is upset with Miss Cross for bringing this guy along. And she tells him that he's being rude, but he just keeps saying how he wrote a hit play. And then he just turns to her and confesses his love for her. Well, the next day, Miss Cross is outside with her students. And while they are painting pictures, she notices Herman hiding behind a tree spying on her. And realizing he's caught, he approaches Miss Cross to say that Max sent him because he wants to talk to her and apologize. And then Herman himself also apologizes for serving Max alcohol. And the two talk some more, with Miss Cross saying that she doesn't think that she should see Max anymore, and she declines Max's invitation. Well, Herman asks what her first name is, because we don't know yet, and she says her first name is Rosemary. And we can kind of tell something's up with Herman. There's something behind the eyes.
He's intrigued.
He looks at her. But just then he realizes that he forgot to give her Max's letter, which is written calligraphy, of course. And after giving it to her, Herman, as Michael said, Herman runs away. He just takes off running.
Yes.
Which again was very Napoleon Dynamite to me, just how all that happened.
Yes, very much so.
But Max's letter is an apology as well as an invitation to his new venture that he's undertaken, aka the aquarium. So then the next day, I guess it's the next day or sometime later, they're at the groundbreaking. There's all these people there, and there's food, and there's a marching band. And Max tells them to shut it all down now until Miss Cross gets there because, he's doing all this to impress her, and if she's not around, what's the point? But then the PE teacher, played by it's the other Wilson brother. It's the third Wilson brother, the lesser known.
Oh,
yeah.
I did not know.
Yeah. This guy, he asks Max. He's like, "Hey, what's going on, Maxie?" And Max tells him about the aquarium, that he's on the committee, and the coach is like, "Well, this is my baseball diamond." Then Dirk Calloway gives Max the news that Miss Cross had a substitute teacher that day. And so he's like, I got to go call Herman. So he calls Herman. Herman's not around either. So then there's a student reporter. I think it's George from earlier who's doing an interview with Max. And then we see Dr. Guggenheim and the coach and the security officer who come running out to stop the entire event and prevent any further trees from being cut down. And Max says that he'd prefer not to have this conversation in front of his crew. And with a thunderclap, we see Max being yelled at by the board as tears roll down his face, and his buddy Dirk Calloway watches from outside. And this wraps up Act 1.
Sweet as roses in the morning, you to me are soft as summer rain that don't interrupt shade. Like something red, the sidewalks in the street, the concrete and the clay beneath my feet begins to crumble, but love will never die, 'cause we'll see the mountains tumble before we say goodbye. My love and I, we love eternally. That's the way it's meant to be.
Man, that's these Wes Anderson movies. Like you said, it's just a lot happens in these acts.
Yeah.
It was exhausting taking these notes, but so here we go, Act 2. I'll do my best. The curtain opens in October, and Max has enrolled in public school after being expelled, but he's still wearing his uniform. And sitting next to him is, you probably didn't notice this, was Alexis Bledel.
Yeah, I thought it was. I was like, but she didn't have like a part or anything. But I
She
was
was
like,
just an
is that
extra in
her?
this movie.
Yeah, weird.
So I just happened to see her in a note somewhere that she was in it. And I was like, well, I'll have to keep an eye out for it. And sure enough, there she was. So. So Max stands up and gives a speech introducing himself to the class. He speaks about his humble upbringing despite being a former Rushmore student, and he plans to get a fencing team started. The bell rings, and Max is approached by a fellow female student who was impressed by his speech. We cut to Max fencing alone as the basketball team runs into shot, which is so Wes Anderson.
Yes, very
And
much so.
Max retreats to a payphone and calls Herman to talk about Rosemary. Then a faculty member walks up and informs him that he can't do that right now. He hangs the phone up on him. So Max leaves campus and rides his bike over to Rushmore to approach Rosemary. Well, he's confronted by Magnus, who's he's up in a tree, and Max says he got expelled because he got it on or did various things with Dirk's mom in the back of their Jaguar. He finds Rosemary and gets out the book with Rosemary's handwriting in it. Rosemary tells him that it was her husband's book, and she decided to give it to the library after his death. Max asks Rosemary if they can be friends again, and then asks if she'll tutor him. Then we cut to a van with Rosemary and along with Max in the van being driven by Herman. And a montage begins as Max is being tutored, playing tennis with Rosemary and Herman. Max has a science fair project called Tidal Wave, with just a giant tidal wave crashing down on an island with stick figures, looking distressed. That he's admiring the female student that approached him in the hallway. And her project had won first prize.
I love how she's got like this admiring crowd around her with like glasses of champagne or whatever. She's like, yes, this is very good, yes.
So he gets his geometry test, and it's a C-. And then Max apparently has joined the cheerleaders or the pep squad or something, and he runs through a banner and then does about a dozen backflips as Herman, Rosemary, and Dirk look on.
Yeah.
Dirk looks a bit concerned at how Herman and Rosemary are looking at one another. And then as Max is walking down the hall, he passes his new interest from the science fair and finds out her name is Margaret, and he's going to cast her in his next play. And he's got a tech crew with him, which wearing like a Led Zeppelin shirt, I believe, and it resonated with me because it's just every tech crew person has that guy in the tech crew.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. And just following him along, like everybody just like taking notes of what he's saying, and it's so ridiculous. He's so ridiculous.
So at Rosemary's house, Herman stops by. There's this awkward exchange about Max and carrots, and Herman eats a carrot with her, and they go for a walk together in a very affluent neighborhood. Dirk sees them and returns to campus to confront Herman in his Rolls Royce. Herman gets out to ask if Max knows. Dirk says no and chastises Herman for his actions, and then spits on his car and walks off.
The spitting was the best part.
When Herman tries to get back in the car, his idiot sons have locked him out. Which
Good stuff.
Dirk is walking across campus and runs into Magnus, who tells him what Max said about making it with his mom in the Jaguar. Dirk doesn't believe him at first. And then back at Grover Cleveland High, Max is rehearsing his latest play, where he's playing a stereotyped Hispanic gang member and miming like he's driving a car with Margaret in the back. He pauses and is handed a letter in crayon written by Dirk. Dirk's letter embellishes the romance of Herman and Rosemary, saying he saw them kissing and found out they were fooling around at the pool while he was napping.
I just love the like And it shows him there with his like the big box of crayons, like the 64 crayon box or whatever.
Mhm.
And he's got his like stationery. He's writing this letter in crayon. It's so good.
Yeah. It's really
So Herman hops in his car and finds Max in the back. He's upset about the letter and is smoking a cigarette. Herman says he's in love with her, and Max says he was in love with her first. In Rosemary's class, Max walks in and says he just came by to thank her for wrecking his life. We cut to him smoking a cigarette while a pile of leaves are burning, which is just,
This is a great shot
yeah.
outside the headmaster's office or whatever, just burning a pile of leaves.
So we get a voicemail message from Max ratting out Herman to his wife and telling her all about the affair. They meet on a parking deck, and we get a good Wes Anderson awkward exchange, and Max offers her a sandwich. She accepts. She takes the tuna fish sandwich, and a police car siren passes as Max speaks to her, but we can't hear what Max is saying. She looks upset and then hands the sandwich back to Max.
It was great.
Herman is checking. We cut to Herman checking into a hotel because he's being sued for divorce. In his hotel room, we see a bee crawling across the table, and more start to swarm, stinging Herman. He gets up and sees that they're being released into the room by the door through a tube. He smiles, knowing exactly who's at fault.
You know, it's amazing that this is Jason Schwartzman, you know, who plays Max. This is his first movie that he ever did. This is the first thing
That's
he ever
amazing. Wow.
Crazy.
He did nothing
Yeah.
before this, and this was the first thing he did.
It looks
You
so
know,
young too.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Got that Coppola pedigree, man.
that's
Mhm.
right. He comes from that family.
There's a good slow motion shot of Max leaving the service elevator with a box of bees, wearing a wait staff uniform.
It's
So this-
very sort of Terminator 2 back hallway of this
Mhm.
hotel, sort of slow-mo walk here.
So this kicks off another montage as Herman cuts the chain on Max's bike, takes it and runs over the front tire, and then puts it back. Which is, I like putting it back is a really good move. I like that.
Yeah.
The next shot, Max is on a different bike and riding over to Herman's factory. He rides by point out a Yale 2,800-pound forklift in the rail yard.
There you go.
Yeah.
So he goes to the factory floor and finds Herman's car, climbs under it, and then as we see Herman driving it later up to Rushmore, his brakes fail, and he just barely stops before running into a building. The montage pauses as Herman is giving a description of Max, and the music starts as Max is getting arrested. He gets bailed out and immediately goes back to Rushmore and is met by Dirk and his fellow classmates who start throwing debris or something at him.
Rocks.
Yeah, they're throwing rocks at him.
Okay.
But like Dirk's dressed like a wizard.
Yeah.
And, like they're all in like costumes for
I guess
some
yeah,
reason.
Halloween because it's October.
Yeah, I
so-
guess it is. It is October, I guess.
So yeah, at first I thought it was like some sort of like LARPing club or something.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
And I was like, oh, it's Halloween. So Dirk confronts him about the rumors that Max was spreading about making it with Dirk's mom. Max denies it, says he's going to put a cap in Mangus's ass. We cut to Guggenheim's office and his portrait of Churchill nicely framed along with a host of medications. And it appears Guggenheim isn't feeling well. Him and Max come to blows over his attempt to get Miss Cross fired. And we get this great shot of the shadows of them fighting in front of the Churchill portrait.
Yeah.
As Max and Guggenheim struggle over the pictures of Miss Cross and Herman, Max had delivered.
He says something to me. He's like, I never played you as something. He calls me something.
A snitch or
A
a
snitch or a rat
Yeah.
or something. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, Brian Cross, he's so good in this.
He is amazing.
In Miss Cross's room, she's packing up as Max enters. She's less than enthused with Max's presence. She says she's sorry. She loves Herman, and Max tries to kiss her. She easily fights him off, and he declares that Rushmore was his life, and now she is.
Hey.
So Rosemary starts asking him what he wants from her. How would the sexual encounter happen? Max is embarrassed and leaves to find Magnus, who begins to needle him. Max tries to rush Magnus, who cold cocks him. And at the cemetery, Max is sitting by the grave of his mom. When Herman arrives, the marker reads, "Beloved wife of Bert and mother of Max, the paths of glory lead but to the grave." Herman says he was there because Max wanted to put an end to all of this. Max said he was plotting to have a tree fall on him. And as Max walks away, dejected, Herman says she was my Rushmore. And this prompts Max to respond, "Yeah, I know, she was mine too." Herman pulls on a branch of a tree, and the tree falls and gets. We get another montage as the curtains for November open. Max has taken a job now as a barber at his father's shop. He cuts hair and gives straight razor shaves, takes out the garbage as Dirk looks on. Margaret comes by to see Max at his house and gives his dad a plant. She sees Max in the window, and he closes the curtains on her. So Miss Cross is eating alone at Thanksgiving in the montage, and Herman's alone at his factory. Max takes the plant that Margaret gave him to the cemetery, and then with that, we wrap up Act 2.
I gotta be like that to Margaret. Come on.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, Margaret was all right.
She's nice, yeah. Bringing you succulents.
Yeah, leave Margaret alone. December, we open up to the barber shop, and Max and his dad are working. His dad's...
I think it's right here. There's a great picture of Johnny Unitas in the background, which I thought was a great picture to put in a barber shop with his flat top haircut.
Yeah.
had John Glenn too.
Yeah.
And I'm always reminded of the line from The Simpsons with Grandpa Simpson said that's a haircut you could set your watch to when you saw Johnny Unitas.
His dad says it's been nice to have him, but isn't he interested in going back to school? Max says no. And later, as Max is cleaning up the store, Dirk shows up. He apologizes for throwing rocks at Max back at Rushmore, and he drops off a present and says Merry Christmas. It is a giant Swiss Army knife. Yeah. Michael, did that ring any bells?
Oh, warmed my heart. It made me bitter that mine got swiped from me at my own school that I was at.
Dang, man.
God,
yeah, you're in Rushmore.
Yeah.
This one's engraved with Max's name. It says Rushmore Yankee 1985 through 1997. So it's
Pretty sweet. That was a pretty sweet knife.
Good gift. Dirk says that Dr. Guggenheim has had a stroke and suggests that Max go visit him. So Max goes along to the hospital, and Dr. Guggenheim looks asleep, but his wife says he can hear him. As Max begins to talk, Guggenheim goes, "What do you want?" That's amazing.
I love that.
It's so good.
What do you want?
The wife says that's the first thing he said in 10 days, and which, Guggenheim follows up by identifying Max. He's like, "Max Fisher." So
like going back to like what Andy was saying earlier, like how, I mean, these were the gags I didn't like appreciate in my, late teens, early 20s when I saw this. But yeah, it really was resonating this time around.
That's good. Really good stuff. It's a good scene. Dirk spies from the parking lot, and Herman pulls into the hospital. Well, Herman looks rough. Max sees him, and they ride an elevator up together. Herman's pouring airplane bottles into a Diet Coke can in his jacket pocket, which is amazing.
He's smoking a cigarette in the hospital, too.
He's smoking two. He's got two.
He's got two.
That's
right.
Yeah.
That's why he lights a second one as he's working on the first one.
But I love he walks in. There's a guy on oxygen going by, and in a wheelchair as he's coming in smoking. I was like, that's not good. But the bottle in the Diet Coke in the jacket pocket, and then pouring the bottle into that is such a great move. That is
great.
Genius.
Well, then he drinks the cocktail and deposits the can into the laundry in the cart on the elevator.
Yeah.
Says he hadn't seen Rosemary in 6 weeks as he lights that second cigarette. Well, Max goes to see Rosemary, takes his bike, says he just got hit by the car. He takes the old bike, should I say, the one that was wrecked. Says he just got hit by a car, has blood all over his hat. Well, Rosemary says, "Come on in." And Max jumps into bed and puts a tape in when she goes to get something for his cup.
Yes.
Starts playing some romantic music. I was asking what happened to Herman, so he's trying to get in here. It's just has a whole plan, of course. Rosemary says he's married, he hates himself, and he smashed up your bicycle. Max asks about Rosemary's ex-husband. And as this goes along, Rosemary sets about to nursing Max, and Max kisses her. She pushes him back down on the bed and is investigating the cut. She realizes, of course, it's fake blood, and he has not cut himself. So she says Max and Herman deserve each other and shows him the door. And he says, "I'll just go out the window," which I thought was really funny, too.
I was just so confused by, first, the nature of her husband and their marriage, through the whole movie. Yeah. Because when they have the book, the Cousteau book, she's like, "He brought this to me in England when I was 13. And I thought that was weird. So I was like, I don't know what that's about. And I don't know how their relationship came about or anything, because he'd gone to Rushmore. And then she's in this room, which is not a grown woman's room or a married couple's room. It's a kid's bedroom. Yeah. And he gets in a line about you're still here in it was his childhood bedroom. So a lot of weird subtext of not really knowing what was going on with all that.
Right.
Good point.
The next day, Max and Dirk are flying kites. Max says he's sorry. He said what he said about Dirk's mom and him, and all is forgiven.
So I felt like this shot was the most Wes Anderson shot of this whole movie.
Oh yeah, I could see that.
Just the wide shot with the stadium in the background, and then the sort of standing off in the distance. But I saw that, I was like, this is the beginning right here. We're seeing the start.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I meant to look up, see where they shot all this stuff, because even the high school that Max is going to, looks like it's almost in like North Korea or something. It's just like
Yeah, I
this
know.
gray
it's
concrete
Texas.
slabs. Oh, okay. I think it may have been
Yeah.
Houston.
Yeah.
I thought I
Which
saw
scans.
Houston mentioned in the credits, but then the stadium looks like something from like the 20s or something.
Mhm.
It's just cinder block stadium. It's wild.
Well, Wes Anderson is our friend Andy and I. We have a friend Jack, and Jack is a huge Wes Anderson fan. And whenever I see these movies, I'm always think back to Jack, because Jack is a brilliant videographer as well, and he takes a lot of these his notes from Wes Anderson, I think. So it all sort of plays together.
Yeah. Well, the two of them hear a noise, and it's a model airplane doing all kinds of tricks and landing by them, which cracked me up. Meow.
Meow. Yeah, it's coming by, the buzzing them.
It's good. It's our good friend Margaret Yang. She's made a whole flight plan in crayon, of course.
Yes.
Crown, yeah.
And after some chit chat, she says, "You're a real jerk to me. You know that? Anyway, nice to see you," and starts flying her airplane again. Dirk lets Max fly his kite, and it seems to get Max back on track. We see Herman at the barbershop struggling as Max pulls up. So,
But wait,
gosh.
I'm sorry. Is this when like Max starts like dictating again to Dirk,
Yes.
and
Yes.
Dirk is stoked? Like you can tell he's
Yes,
so
they're
excited.
They're getting back. Yeah,
He's
exactly.
like starts dictating a possible membership list for the Kite Flyer Club or something,
Mhm.
and like he's take dictation, and Dirk is just like, "Oh yeah, here we
That's
go."
right.
He's ready.
coming- He's
to go.
back.
Yeah.
Well, we see Herman at the barbershop struggling as Max pulls up. He brings him a Rushmore, Max, that is, brings him Herman a Rushmore Perfect Attendance and Punctuality Award. Says for Herman to pick one and he can wear the other one. And Herman picks punctuality. So he's all the way back, man. He's trying to bring everybody back up.
He's like, I'll take punctuality.
Yeah. That's right.
It did bother me. This was like a movie expediency thing, like how nobody ever has like real wrapping paper on gifts. They put the pins in, but like didn't stop and like put a little backing thing on the pin. I'm like, that's gonna fall out, man. Come on, be responsible. You're gonna stick yourself. Be careful.
Gotta have a pen back. Herman comes in, sits down in Max's dad's chair, and starts to cut his hair. Herman leaves refreshed, and Max asks him how much he's worth. 10 million? Good, because we're going to need all of it. So we cut to a montage of Herman and Max doing all kinds of things, including making models of the observatory. So they're on the way to building the aquarium.
Wasn't the song "Oh Yoko"? Wasn't that the?
Yes, it
Yeah,
was.
yeah.
Seemed like a very bizarre selection for that.
Yeah.
For that moment, yeah.
Max and Herman invite Rosemary to the groundbreaking of the aquarium. At the groundbreaking, Herman loses it because Rosemary is not coming, so he's not a happy camper. Max goes to find Rosemary at another point in time, and she says she never asked for the aquarium. She thought it was Max's idea. Max said, "Well, I give it to my friend." So he's given it to Herman to impress Rosemary with. But she doesn't even want it. Max goes back to Rushmore and shoots Magnus with a pellet gun. Then throws him a play script and says he's just right for the part in the play, which I thought was amazing. The play is called Heaven and Hell. And seeing it, Max says, "I always wanted to be in one of your..." What's his name?
Magnus.
Magnus says, "I always wanted to be in one of your plays." And Max said, "I know you did." We cut to Grover Cleveland High and do a long tracking shot through the crowd, seeing a lot of familiar characters, pretty much everyone in the movie. So one of those great little things. So the Big Bird and Kermit and Piggy's wedding.
Yes, exactly. But then who was the guy? I can't remember the name they call him. It's like Mr. Little Jeans or something.
Yeah, he's the groundskeeper, isn't he?
He's the groundskeeper, but we'd seen him a couple, like the janitor and groundskeeper at Rushmore. We had seen him a couple of times, but like he's there too. Just like, just this weird little dude. Yeah.
Magical guy.
Yeah.
Rosemary comes and sits down by Herman, a ploy designed by Max, which they quickly figure out. Max shows up on stage in a green velvet suit, thanks the crowd, and is emceeing his own show, of course. And this play, guys,
spectacular.
Open up to some LBJ audio and see a scene of Vietnam complete with a helicopter model. Magnus and Dirk come out. Max shows up. We have like model flying planes, a lot of explosives, and a flamethrower. People getting knocked off guard towers. It's just incredible.
They hand out
the
goggles and
hearing protection and goggles. Yeah,
they dropped napalm. That was like amazing.
Yes, so good.
I completely forgot about the Vietnam play.
Me too. Well, because there's a scene earlier where he's picking up dynamite from somewhere, and it's like, what? I was like, I can't remember where this is going at all. And then, man, they pay it off big time in this play.
At intermission, Rosemary comes out and sees Herman, who's smoking. She brings coffees and shares Herman's cigarette, so they're kind of making their peace here. The play continues, and as the platoon goes out, Max stays behind. Margaret Yang jumps up from the bushes, holds a gun up to him, and asks, "Will you marry me?" And he says, "You bet I will." Oh, man, it's so good.
He's almost doing, I was wondering like if this was supposed to be based on any like specific movie or something, or just like the tropes, because he is really doing a Tom Cruise here.
Oh yeah,
because he's doing like that kind of like kind of laugh a couple of times.
That'd be interesting to know. Yeah,
like the shades on and like the dark hair is like slick back,
right?
And, oh my! All the tropes, like tag 'em and bag 'em, boys. Let's get out of here.
Right. Oh, the crowd goes wild, and we cut to the after party. A lot of discussions are happening that we kind of filter through.
The nude pinups that the boys are looking at, that cracked me up.
They're just staring at them.
I love it's the Heaven or Hell Cotillion. They've got a big banner. Oh, so good.
Oh, Margaret and Max start dancing at center court. Max is already working on his next play. Max's teacher and his dad decide to dance from Grover Cleveland. And Herman tries to cut in on Margaret. She says, cut in on Max dancing with Margaret. She says, "Find your own dance partner. I'm spoken for." So they're official. They're now official. Max talks to Rosemary. They reflect on all that's happened, and Max says, "Hey, at least nobody got hurt." Rosemary corrects him and says, "Except you." And he says, "I didn't get hurt that bad." And they two decide to dance. Rosemary takes his glasses off, and Max gets Ruben the DJ to put on the small faces. I wish that I knew what I know now when I was younger. And we end with the curtains that have guided us through this whole trip through Rushmore. The end.
What a movie.
Man, yeah.
I just wish we could see what the next play was going to be, because he wanted to know if she could do an Australian accent. And I'm like, oh man, it's going to be so good. Whatever it's going to be, it's going to be great.
Man, yeah. These just imagine. Yeah. That Vietnam play really was a great way to end that movie. So perfect.
The guys coming out of the guard tower killed me.
Yes. Oh man,
I love that because he's got Magnus as this lead role, with this thick Scottish accent, but playing like a Green Beret or something, American Green Beret character. This is funny. Oh, so good.
Weren't there like wasn't there like a machine gun nest in the lobby or something?
Yes, there was. I noticed that when they were out talking. There was like behind them. There was a lot of staging out in the lobby area to set the scene for sure.
Yeah, it's like the posters are great too.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's a friend of the podcast in high school, classmate of mine, Dan, who we all know, is a drama teacher. I just I kept seeing these plays and thinking about him the whole time, and it was just the idea of doing something like this at Malcolm Brown is just
oh man, he should do that though. He should like make it would be so meta and do the play from Rushmore. Yeah,
good man.
Just good. From as someone who once mingled in that world. At Malcolm Brown and other places. It's just so funny, so very funny, because it's a world that takes itself so like super seriously, especially like when you're in high school. Yeah, it's just ripe for comedy.
Yes.
It was almost inspiring me to sit down with Dan and try to like write out a play, like inspired by this. So.
Well, I mean, when they were doing Serpico at first, and I didn't realize what it was, I was reminded of when our very own personal Max Fisher starred in as Willie Loman. In Death of a Salesman.
Yes.
That's right. I forgot about that.
That was giving me very similar vibes from Serpico.
That was really, really a moment. Yes.
It was really. So, Dan, there's a lot of material out there to mine. You do like Dog Day Afternoon or something.
Yes. Yes.
A lot of material there.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, I guess we ought to rate this thing. What do y'all think?
Yeah,
I'm ready. Let's do it.
We're going to do that by cranking up the Touchstone rating system, the BCS, brought to us by Disney's Wide World of Sports and Topps Trading Cards.
Hello, I'm Michael Eisner, head of Walt Disney.
You know that you get some bazooka gum if you buy the Topps Trading Cards, and it's all part of the Go network. Go.com. Movie times. You're looking to find out what time at the multiplex. There's another showing of Rushmore. Just go to go.com. It's all there. So without further ado, let's rate Rushmore. Plot and writing. Robert, I'm going to throw it to you. We're going to see if it's a single, double, triple, or a home run. What are you guys
it's close to going out of the park for me. I I like Wes Anderson, don't get me wrong. But, there's still some stuff there that just, I don't know. It didn't quite, I can't even put my finger on it really. But it's going to be a 4, but it's a high 4.
Okay.
For me.
Michael, what about you?
Yeah, I will echo that. A 4 for me as well, but a very strong one. Absolutely.
Andy?
You guys are saying 4 as if it's a bad thing. I mean, I'm in lockstep with you. It's a 4. It's great writing. I don't know how much some of that stuff, like with Murray, is improvised. You never really know because he's such a brilliant comedic actor.
Mm-hmm.
But knowing from what I've learned about Wes Anderson, everything's pretty much scripted out, and so it's just some great and just fantastic lines and a great like you said, picking this as the background for the movie, this world. It's excellent. So yeah.
I guess
it's tight. Like we talked about how it moves. It's like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And it packs in so much stuff.
I guess I'm not saying that 4 is a bad thing. It's just I can't quite express why it's a 4 instead of a 5. I guess is where I am, but it just feels like a 4 to me. So
I agree with that. I'm giving it a very strong 4. I thought about giving it a 5 because there are so many great lines, and I mean, just the way that they deal with, these kind of situations. You think where things are going, and then they kind of go where you think they're going to go, but in a way that you wouldn't expect. I just love how he dances around with those things, and yeah, it's good stuff. 4 for me as well. Casting and acting, I'm going to give this. I think I'm going to give it a 5 because I thought that Bill Murray is unbelievable. I think that Jason Schwartzman, for his first movie, to be able to get him out there and turn in that performance, I think I'm just gonna have to give it a 5 for those two alone.
Yeah.
Andy, what about you?
I agree with you 100%. I cannot find a fault in any of the actors. I mean, it's just casted so perfectly.
Yeah.
And everyone, even the bit parts, they all do so well. I mean, like Ronnie and Donnie, I mean, just perfect.
Yes.
I mean, how you couldn't get that any better. And and even Magnus, even though as weird as his character was, I mean, it was just really well done. I mean, the guy did a great job. So yeah, it's a 5 for me.
Okay, Michael, what about you?
Yeah, it's got to be a 5. Everybody's perfect. And like you said, with somebody like Magnus, like you totally know who that guy is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and he gets, who knows how many lines in the movie, but you totally know who he is. It's perfect. And yeah, I mean, they're all so good. And Jason Schwartzman, it's just hard to believe he's just starting out. Jason Schwartzman, who I met in Hollywood, on the Disney lot. It was weird.
Huh.
Fancy.
Yeah, and all I could think of was this. Yeah, it's my claim to fanciness. But yeah, all I could think of was Max Fisher.
Robert, what about you?
Well, I mean, I think it's interesting what Michael said, and I think what makes it so great, I mean, on many levels, but these characters are so relatable. Like we've been laughing at. We knew a Max and we knew the twins. Like we've all seen those guys, and it's just it was so well. The casting was great. So yeah, it's a 5.
All right, production value. I'm going to throw it back to Michael. What are you going to give this one?
This is one I kept thinking about. It's tough because, I mean, it's a Wes Anderson movie, but it's not Wes Anderson to the level that Wes Anderson has become, I feel like, or even that he would become in Tenenbaums.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to give it a 4, just so there's room to grow on. But everything from the music to, we talked about, all the little details that are just impeccable. And but I know in the future he becomes even more so. So I'm going to give him 1 star to grow into.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there, and it's not fair. It's grading on a curve the other way because the production of this as a 4 is a lot higher than other 4s I have rated before. But
yes,
just because greater work is ahead, I think I'm going to have to leave one off. But yeah, I mean, all the music placement, perfect. Like we're talking about, the density of all these scenes are great. I just thought, I wish that the school was a little bit cooler, Rushmore.
Yeah.
That I felt was a little disappointing. In what it would be in a later Wes Anderson movie.
Yeah, they had to work with real world places in this one, just because they were just kind of starting out, right?
Yeah, so that would be my note. What about you, Robert?
I'm gonna give it a 5 because I feel like it's a little unfair that we're to grade Wes towards what he did later.
It is.
Because I mean, the Life Aquatic was just, eye popping, and I remember that one just thinking, man, this guy really has his own style, and it's just insane. And we see it forming here, but I don't want to take away from it. I mean, there's so many shots in this movie, so much just the way the music that's selected, everything, it just comes together so brilliantly. So it's a 5.
All right, Andy.
Oh man, this is hard, especially now based
is
off the
hard.
grade you guys are giving it, because I'm not grading it based off of what he does later. I think of other movies that we've given 5s to, like the Roger Rabbits,
Yes,
and
good
things
point.
like that. And so, the things that stood out to me from the production, of course, the music we've talked about, just the thought that went into the plays. I mean, that was just really, really well done. But the rest of it, it really is kind of just ordinary. I mean, like you said, the school's nothing special, and we don't see any like amazing locations or anything like that. So I'm afraid we're based off the scores we're giving it, it's going to end up higher than it needs to be. So I'm gonna take one for the team here. I'm gonna balance this out a little bit. I'm gonna give it a 3. Just to kind of put a little, to slow the growth a little bit here.
I can sense Robert getting upset through the pipes of the internet. Wrong. What was it? The McLaughlin?
Yeah,
group?
wrong. Next. Yeah, I'm just pulling back the reins a little bit here.
All right. Well, Andy, I'm going to let you take us home here to entertainment value. Let's see what you give Rushmore for that.
As I mentioned at the beginning, I kind of enjoyed this movie when I saw it the first time, however many years ago that was. But I guess it didn't leave enough impression on me at the time that this really was the second time I ever saw the movie, and I absolutely loved it this time. It was fantastic. It's one of those, just so many great lines, just so many great performances. And it hits differently for me now than it did then. So, but at the same time, it's not a movie that I can just sit down and watch at any time, kind of a thing, because we kind of touched on this before. It's kind of exhausting a little bit. I mean, there's a lot going on, and so that little bit there, I can't just shut my mind off and just enjoy it, kind of a thing. So for me, that makes it a 4. And so that's what I'm going to go with.
I will agree with you just lockstep. I think it's I really place value on movies that I can put on and just kind of put on, like you can do whatever, you can leave and get a snack, come back. I don't feel like this is that kind of movie, and it warrants your full attention. So that's probably credit to, Wes Anderson and Owen Wilson, and it moves very fast. I love this movie, and I really loved like the humor and the aesthetic of it when I was younger. I really liked the heart of it. Watching it older, I just love how it ends up, and just thought it was very sweet. But I'm still going to give it a 4, a very high 4. But but it also just doesn't feel like, I don't know, something grander for a 5 is required for me. But or just to be like really perfect. But 4. Michael, what about you?
Yeah, this was really hard to think about. I think I agree with everything you all said. I'm going to go with a 4. I think just over time, I've tried to adjust my scores down. I thought about rating a lot because I signed up for, that website Letterboxd where you can like rate movies when you watch them. And so I've thought about rating a lot. And like, I used to think giving something like a 2.5 or a 3 was like saying, well, that's bad. But no, that's saying, it's average. And like a 3 is above average, and a 4 is like way above average. Right. And so I think just what you said, Jeff, about just missing that little bit extra. And there's something about Wes Anderson with me where I just totally, absolutely admire him to death and love a lot of his stuff. But everybody's like a little cryptic in him. And that just kind of puts a little distance between the people. But I agree with what you said, Jeff. I love the warmth of it now, looking back. And I think the further away you are from Max's age, the more sympathetic he might seem.
Yes, yeah, I think that's true.
and everybody ends up in a nice place, which is nice. But
and I think that, to your point, is interesting because Wes' stuff. Like, I haven't watched Asteroid City. and I always enjoy them when I watch them and think they're really amazing and wonderful, but I kind of have to like work myself up for them now after seeing so many.
Well,
And I feel like that sweetness can sometimes be missing from his later work. And I was just surprised because that's not what my takeaway was as younger. But now I'm like, oh, it's nice. This one just seems so like wholesome at the end. And like, it just doesn't feel like that happens quite as much in his later stuff.
I totally agree. Like Asteroid City, which you should watch, but
Yeah, I will. Yeah, I'm sure.
it's I mean, full of funny stuff, but it just seems like it's like, what weird thing could this person be?
Right.
Or what weird thing could this person do that would be weird and memorable? And it's not like, what kind of a person are they? It's just like some weird idiosyncratic tick that person has. So, but
I wonder if that's the Owen Wilson effect. I wonder if because Owen wrote this with him, the later movies Wes writes them himself, I believe. I don't know for sure.
Yeah, it could be.
But just a thought.
Could be. But anyway, it's a 4 and it's a very, very strong 4 for me.
All right. Who's left? Robert, are you getting the last word here?
I'm getting the last word in.
All right. Well, what do you give it?
I give it a lot of thought too, and I think you kind of raised a good point, Jeff. And it's that his movies are kind of exhausting a little bit because there's just so much detail, there's so much happening. The plot moves very quickly, and the cuts and everything. And you're right, it's not a kind of movie you can just sort of like back in the day when we would channel surf. You get the TNT and the Shawshank Redemption would always be on.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
And you'd drop the remote and say, "Oh, I'll watch the Shawshank Redemption. Yeah, I got time." And to me, that's not this movie. And I'm going to kind of give it a low score, I think, for that. It's going to be a 3 for me. So.
Boom. Well, that's that. I think we should plug it into the old BCS and see what Rushmore gets. It's going to be interesting. It's kind of been a little all over the map. What did Rushmore get?
So Rushmore is our first home run of the season. It looks like we have it coming with a 4.19.
Nice.
It's going to put it in the top 10 overall, just above Absent Minded Professor and just below Flight of the Navigator.
Whoa.
So,
oh man,
at number 7 overall.
Flubber.
That is high. That is high. A good ranking for a good movie.
I wonder what Wes Anderson would think of that that neighborhood.
These movies are right
between Flight of the Navigator and The Absent-Minded Professor.
Well, the movies above it are Flight of the Navigator in order: Swiss Family Robinson, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Parent Trap, and Mary Poppins.
I mean, I think most of those would thrill him to be in the.
Yeah. I mean, that's solid company.
Yes.
And not to get off base completely here, but I got into a debate with a friend last week who said Mary Poppins was absolute garbage.
What?
And I was like, dude, like what world are you living on? Like,
that's a take.
That's a hard take.
It's like the people who dunk on the Beatles.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Oh, the Beatles.
What's going on in their life that they have to feel that way?
That's right.
Yeah.
You're trying to prove. Well, that's there you go. That's what we had to say about Rushmore. Anything else to say about Rushmore before we leave this movie?
I really enjoyed revisiting this.
I did too.
One thing it makes me miss movies like Rushmore because we don't get anything like this anymore. I mean, it was just quirky, original, funny.
Right.
It wasn't like a rehash of anything. So, I mean, I wish we got more movies.
And that's
like
what, Jeff and I were like just bemoaning that the other day, how there's nothing original coming out right now in Hollywood. At least it feels like that. And
just a basic, like $10 million movie.
Yeah. It's a small budget. Yeah.
With a phenomenal cast.
Yeah, exactly.
who weren't superstars. I mean, Bill Murray was not on the top of the world. I mean, yeah, he was
not
Bill
Bill,
Murray.
yeah.
But,
This was his first like delve into this drama comedy
yeah.
that he's known for now.
And so, but that just shows you, you can do that kind of stuff, and Hollywood just doesn't know what they're doing anymore. I don't think.
No, it's unless it's already pre-chewed or whatever. It's
Yeah,
like,
right.
no, everybody has to already know everything about what's going to happen before it even comes out, because
Data.
they will become data. So analytics. Yeah.
Crunching
Analytics ruins everything.
numbers. Robert, if a producer in Hollywood wanted to pick our brain about their next independent movie, how would they get in touch with us?
Well, they could do that for a number of ways. Probably the way that the hardcore fans like Casey Murphy, who sent us a really nice email the other day, talking about he had picked a couple of movies for us. God, I wish I'd brought that email back up. It was one in particular. It was a kind of a deep cut that he wanted us to consider, and he kind of did an old mic drop on us. He's like, here's the movie, do it and you won't be disappointed. It was kind of his take, but you can do it at info@medfieldfilm.com, or you can reach us at the old social media platforms, which it seems like we need to start branching out. We need to start doing more with it, because we haven't done much with our social media here in the last 3 or 4 months, but we will look into getting that picked back up here. I think the Touchstone season's kind of taking it out of us a little bit.
Yeah, just a little.
But and you can do that at Medfield Film. Find us there.
But that was, it was a nice little break from the Touchstone doldrums, I would say.
Oh, yeah. I'm rejuvenated.
I'm Max Fisher, renowned playwright. You might have heard of me. Editor of the Yearbook, president of the Coin Collector Circle, founder of the Latin Revival Society. I am involved in at least 39 of the 40 different extracurricular activities here at Rushmore.
And why are you not doing all 40, you wee shank?
It's complicated.
How is it, you little smudge pot? We all know what's really keeping you away.
No one is keeping me away. I simply choose not to take part in the Rushmore Graphic Design Guild.
Is that so? You're knee-deep in all the other nonsense here, but you chose not to take part in graphic design? I think not, boyo.
Leave me alone!
There he goes again. Good lad, I suppose, but he's no match as a graphical designer.
Hey, Max sent me. He wants to apologize.
All right.
He just wants to be a good graphic designer, but doesn't know where to start.
I'll just tell the wee tosser to call Todd Naprick.
Todd Naprick? I use him for all my major corporate graphic design needs.
Well, then you know. Todd makes you look good. Just tell Max to look him up at Bindand Graphics. That's BYDAND graphics.com. Or 1-800-BINDAND. Or on Upworks. Upworks.
Thank you.
And scene. Thank you, everyone. This is my greatest dramatic triumph yet, and I owe it all to Todd Naprick. Hooray! Hooray, bravo! So from all of us to all of you, we're still doing it. We're still watching Touchstone movies. Stay tuned for another banger coming down the pipe. Maybe turn back the clock just a little bit. Join us. Beware. Beware. So long.
Proud are we of mighty Redfield, alma mater dear. All your sons and daughters hail to thee, Redfield College of Technology. And while we hold your banner high, rock, rock, we shout your praises to the sky, rock, rock. For proud are we of mighty Redfield.